Picture this, your absolute best ideas have literally become a courtroom where every single choice you make is just waiting to be judged. Let's dive right in. The Great Mental Models Volume 2 is not just some dusty shelf of clever tools for you to display at dinner parties. No, the Great Mental Models Volume 2 is a brutal stress test. It's asking how your judgment holds up under serious load. Welcome to a completely different way of processing information, because the Great Mental Models Volume 2 is about to put your entire cognitive architecture on trial. That's the core of what we're looking at today in the Great Mental Models Volume 2.
Written by Shane Parrish and Rhiannon Bubian, this book makes one quiet but incredibly sharp accusation. It asks, are you actually using models to think, or are you just using them to win arguments? You see, Shane Parrish and Rhiannon Bubian frame this book not as a trivia vault where you just collect shiny new vocabulary words, but as a genuine judge of character. It doesn't attack your intelligence at all. Instead, it attacks your untested confidence.
So what exactly is a stress test? Well, it brilliantly illustrates what we're going for here. In this UpGoWise Masterclass Explainer, we aren't here to simply admire better ideas or, pat ourselves on the back for knowing them. We are here to let those better ideas aggressively interrupt our own biases, because a true stress test measures exactly what happens when things get heavy.
I want you to ask yourself this right now, and be honest. Can you name the model that would prove you wrong before you name the one that actually helps you? The mental model you love the absolute most, the one you're always quoting, might just be acting as a heavily biased witness for your own defense. It says what you already wanted said. It's basically giving clean, acceptable language to a completely crooked decision.
Moving right into Section 1. When ideas become armor. Let's look at this false belief.
We all have this seemingly reasonable belief, right? You read, you do the work, so you naturally assume that collecting strong ideas equates to clear thinking. Man, I really wish this weren't true. But look at where it actually leads us. Collecting models easily becomes a way of just performing intelligence rather than actually building judgment. Think about it. When a critical project is running incredibly late, you don't search your mind for objective truth. You search for cover. You pick the word leverage when you want action, and you pull out inertia when you just want a fancy excuse to delay. Your hand automatically reaches for the tool that protects your ego.
And that brings us to this forced dilemma. On one hand, you trust the model that flatters your instinct, perfectly dressing your bias in clean academic language. But on the other hand, you ignore the models entirely and just trust raw feeling, effectively throwing away all those hard-won tools. Let me be clear, both of these are losing options. Both of them treat models as armor rather than actual tools for making contact with reality.
So let's pause and think about this for a second. What if your absolute favorite model is actually your best disguise? Seriously, a model is only truly valuable when it names the actual resisting force in the room. If it's just some authority figure you cite to protect your own ego, well, it's not a tool anymore. It's a hiding place.
All right, Section 2, Architecture Under Load. Let's talk about nature's profound indifference.
Picture a massive, heavy steel beam mid-fracture. We're borrowing the profound indifference of hard science models from this book. The quote goes, "Nature does not flatter your opinion. It exposes your constraints." And that's absolutely crucial. Scientific forces like leverage, inertia, and activation energy, they literally do not care about your self-image or your noble intentions. They simply ask, what is moving, what is resisting, and what is triggering?
A beautiful beam fails simply because the load found the weakest span. It definitely doesn't fail because it lacks confidence. A fracture isn't an insult, it is vital data. It shows you exactly where your pride exceeded your support, and exactly where your fancy vocabulary outran actual reality.
So let's use the framework from this book like a drafting table. Step 1, place your decision right on the table. Step 2, apply a physics model to it. Step 3, apply an opposing biology model against it. Let them cross-examine each other. And Step 4, expose the hidden trade-off. You are intentionally forcing your internal witnesses to argue with each other instead of just letting them blindly defend your ego.
And here is the sharp reversal you just kind of have to accept. The model that actually hurts your pride is the useful one. The most painful framework in this book is precisely the one carrying the cognitive stress you've been actively avoiding. Basically, if it doesn't sting, it's not carrying weight.
Section 3, the second dilemma. Enter the invisible critic.
This is where that invisible critic inside your head whispers that you absolutely must use complicated models just to look impressive. And it creates a brutal choice. You either keep collecting models until doubt completely disappears, or you make one move right now and risk being dead wrong. Endless collection just delays your life behind a giant wall of scholarship.
But premature action confuses speed with courage. Both of these options fail completely when uncorrected certainty is your ultimate prize.
Now, this is a brutal 2-minute practice. You map your decision across force, threshold, and ecosystem. But I want you to focus on that final column right there, the ugly line. You have to literally write down the trade-off. You need to name the excuse you will lose if the opposing model turns out to be right. That ugly line is where your internal critic finally weakens, because the true honest cost of your decision is explicitly named.
10. That is the number of elegant ideas that can be easily outweighed by just a single missed constraint. You can have the most beautiful framework in the world, but if you place it in the wrong load path, the whole structure will collapse. Make no mistake, that is a flaw in the architect, not the steel.
Which brings us to Section 4, Scaffolds, Not Monuments. Time to put reality on the stand. You know, the courtroom inside your head was never actually meant to be the enemy. The ideas derived from this book were never meant to acquit you. They were meant to put reality on the stand. You absolutely must convert this philosophy from mere intellectual consumption into structural honesty. Choose fewer models. Use them harder. Make them argue. Let one of them disappoint your pride. You no longer need the cleverest answer. You just need the answer that survives the load.
Models are scaffolds. They are not monuments. This is the ultimate cognitive signature of what we've been building here. They're temporary structures meant to help you build better judgment. And once the judgment is built, the scaffold doesn't matter anymore. Do not build monuments to the way you think. Build scaffolds to help you see what is actually there.
Action required right now. You have exactly 300 seconds. Do exactly this. Open your notes. Delete one model you quote all the time but never actually use. Replace it with one hard, uncomfortable question that it helps answer. Without taking this exact action right now, the cognitive signature of everything we just built fades away. Your time starts now.